I'd like to learn what your thoughts are on semen retention. The answer is yes. There are videos in the self-cultivation modules that discuss exactly that. But Shay, if you want to give brief thoughts on what you think about semen retention, NoFap. I mean, we have covered it, but just whatever you're...
Well, in my opinion, semen retention is, obviously it's part of this idea that if you work with semen retention, that it's going to have these improvements on your health and your focus and your sex life, etc. Obviously, there's some truth to this because, when you do blow loads, you have chemical dumps that happen. So there's often a lot of dopamine that goes into building up to an orgasm, and then there's a kind of a crash afterwards with, cortisol and adrenaline and oxytocin to various levels and different stuff that happens. And those mechanisms of the pump and dump of the chemical, cycle of pleasure and release has a kind of a cost to it in the sense that, it feels really good when we chase it and then we tend to crash and we feel sort of tired and exhausted and it can have these adverse effects. So it has been noted, and I can say that it is somewhat true sometimes, that you can burn yourself out by having too many orgasms, right? So if that's ever a thing you've experienced, then you feel tired, you can't think clearly, maybe you want to sleep a lot, you can get very grumpy. So you can have a lot of things, and that might not necessarily just be a short thing. It depends on the guy. Some guys may have what they call refractory periods or ongoing adverse effects from orgasm that can last up to 2 weeks from one orgasm. So it's actually a thing that makes you more anxious. It has a lot of tendencies to put you on edge. And then what do we do when we feel uncomfortable? We want to go back for more. So it tends to be this thing of going back to feel good, to try and escape the uncomfortable feeling, get the high again. So it becomes this typical kind of addictive cycle. So the idea with semen retention is to sort of break that cycle, and it's sort of part of this idea of trying to free yourself from aspects of the human condition that dominate you, and part of that is orgasms, part of that's pleasure of orgasms and the possession that you are under from the chemicals that are associated with that. So if you take the view that you want to become, let's say, a master of your own internal process of energy and working with sexuality and working with pleasure and working with the benefits of that, then semen retention is part of that practice, that set of practices. So in a nutshell, what I'd say is that you have what we could call an alchemical mechanism inside of your body. It sounds like a weird thing to say, but you have the ability to be able to focus and move attention in your body and use various physiological locks, yogic locks in your pelvis and in your belly, breathing locks in your tongue, your throat, locks looking here in your eyes, all kinds of different things that you can do with your focus and your physiology to drive energy in a specific way or to regulate what's happening. Because if you look at a typical untrained man, he feels horny, he wants to put his dick in a wet hole, and then he wants to come, and it takes 2 minutes. So maybe you could extend that to 5 minutes, maybe you could extend that to 15 minutes, maybe you could take some numbing pills, or you could put some stuff on your dick that, makes you bang faster, or use cock rings, or you can do all this stuff that people do to try to manage their libido, their sexual arousal, etc. And they're all external tools, but the idea with semen retention is it's a part of a skill set to master that. So with breath and focus, and with both using abdominal techniques to actually extend and push out and relax, there's also to contract and move energy inside yourself. You can ride the pleasure and you can extend the pleasure. So you can have a choice where I want to fuck for 15 minutes and stop and feel good for the rest of the day, not have a dump. And if I'm with my lover, I can fuck her again later, no problems. And I can fuck her as many times as I want. We could have sex 10 times today for 15 minutes or 20 minutes or half an hour or whatever. And there would be no adverse effects if we kept riding that high. Obviously, the hard thing is it feels really good to come, and people want to come and they want that dump and they want those dopamine sort of crashes, because it's like, eating a big fat hamburger and then you just want to relax on the couch. It's this sense of completion and relaxation. So semen retention, yet again, is a way to kind of counterbalance that, learn to cultivate your energy and train yourself to last longer and not be so dependent on this whole chain of chemicals and orgasmic release. I will also say quickly that it's often misunderstood, and what happens when people go and they learn semen retention without a lot of context and they just say, okay, I'm not going to touch my dick, I'm just going to do NoFap forever. they start to get blue balls, they start to have wet dreams, they start to feel frustrated, they start to get really like upset because their energy is cultivating in their body, but they don't know what to do with it. They're not moving it through their body. They don't know about these locks. They don't know about the transmutation. They don't know about sublimation. They don't know about the larger frames and context of what actually happens to a human being when they start raising their energy and driving it in a different kind of way. So it's very important if you want to understand semen retention that you do it as a kind of a course of development. It's almost like an apprenticeship. I mean, I learned about these things over years, really. Like, it's not like I just read one Mantak Chia book and I was like, cool, I'm multi-orgasmic now, thanks, guys. It takes a long time. You have to be with partners. You have to work with yourself, do your own self-cultivation, learn how to ride your own scale of arousal, learn what it's like when you choose not to orgasm and what your effects of that are going to be. And learn to get into your own groove with what semen retention is, basically.
Yeah, and guys, that's why I've included every single week modules in the self-cultivation which cover exactly what Shay's talking about, right? So it's not super advanced stuff, but it does cover different types of breathing, the scoop the loop type of drawing energy up and letting it move down through your body. All of the movement classes and the movement exercises are also designed to assist you with all this kind of stuff. So, if you've only been looking at the videos with the girls in them, which I would understand, fine, do that first. But then please do return and look at both the theory modules and the self-cultivation, because there's a lot of stuff in there that as you start to practice, and as Shay said, it's not just a one-time thing. You don't just do one of those exercises once. I mean, you will feel something when you do them once. You'll probably feel better than you did before, but they are longer-term practices, things to start integrating into your training. And then you will see over time that you will be able to be less of a slave to your own impulses, and you'll be able to listen to your body to know when is a good time to ejaculate. Because I'm not a purist on this. I come sometimes, right? Definitely not all the time. Most of the time not, and definitely not just because a girl begs me to. I'll do it when it really feels right, and I know I'm going to have that crash that Shay discussed. And okay, it's like sometimes I eat a hamburger. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm a retard now for a day. Fine. That's okay. You're human, and most people are not going to be monks. Most people don't have that type of discipline, and it doesn't really work for them in their real life. So finding a middle path where you do have some discipline about your ejaculation, as opposed to just jizzing every single day, at the same time without creating some kind of dogmatic pathology in yourself where you now have guilt around it, right? So that's the kind of middle path I think we would both recommend. All right, good stuff. Great questions. And if I don't say so myself, great answers. How do you explain to a girl that you don't want to come? Always after 2 to 3 hour sessions, they always ask for it. Yeah, I mean, I'm very, very conscious and aware of this, and this happens to me a lot because I very commonly don't come. Basically, you got to remember, why does the girl care about this? It's primarily because she thinks if you didn't come that she's not sexy or she didn't do a good job, and women want to take that power. They want that essence, right? For a variety of reasons, because it's sexy, because it makes them feel like they're a woman, and because now you don't have it for somebody else. I think there's probably a bit of that in there as well. And I know, when I'm about to not see a girl for a while, she really wants it, and I think it's partially because she's like, I want the cum, I don't want that next bitch getting it. So the way I usually tell a girl, okay, we've been having sex for 20, 30 minutes or something, or more or less or whatever, depending on what the session was. And at some point I just we've gone through a peak, right? We've gone through some crescendo point. Maybe she came, or maybe we've just gone into a really highly vibrational kind of state through whatever intensity has happened. And then I kind of down-regulate things, I slow things down, and then, maybe, let's say I was banging her from behind, let's say. Then I might lie her down, I lie on top of her, I roll her over onto the side, and I say, let's just cuddle for a while, right? And then we go into that gooey kind of state. Now, often girls are totally cool with that, but sometimes I can see that, all right, she's like, well, what about the old money shot? Where's my money shot? And so I usually say, girls do ask, or if they don't ask, I'll often say, listen, often I don't come, it's my personal choice, it's nothing to do with you, you are fucking sexy and you turn me on, and if she needs, and sometimes I'll put her hand on my hard cock, and it's still hard, and I'll say, you're turning me on a lot, you're really fucking sexy, but for me, I want to stay hungry for you, because I'm not done yet, I haven't finished with you yet. or even if I have finished with her for that session, I'll say like, sometimes I get them to, I'll say things like, look at how alert I am. Like I'm full of energy, I'm really physically satisfied. And for me, when I come, often I have this thing of like, it's like, it's a come down, and then I'm not really interested in sex, and as a result, I might not be interested in you. It's not personal, but it's just the way the biology works. So I prefer not to. Right, so something like that, where it explains to her main concern, which is like, I'm not hot enough, or there's something wrong with me, or something wrong with him. Instead, I just pitch it in that way. And as I said when I answered this question the other day, I had that with a girl in Brazil, and she said, she even said, I hate guys who don't come. And she said, I know why, it's to do with your energy and stuff. And then I just had that chat with her. And then at the end, I said, and at the end of the day, it's just my choice. I'll decide when I want to, which is a pretty boss move, actually, because I'm not going to capitulate to her need for me to come. My G is my choice, as one of the guys said in the chat, which was cool.
My groundbreaking 5-week course, the Master Lover Toolkit, is coming out at the end of November, and to celebrate the upcoming launch, right now I'm giving away a free module, which is a 40-minute masterclass on sexual position mastery. In this module, you'll learn about the most important sexual positions, but most importantly, the details, the nuances, and the adjustments that you need to make with each individual partner to make sure that you two have a unique, sexy flow going on. So to receive this free, explicit module, click the link below, put your email in, you'll receive it immediately, and we'll see you in the next video. It's James Marshall signing out. Peace.